This time last year, I designed and rigged my vtuber model. I had no idea what I was doing and ended up with a functional but very poorly rigged model. After that, I decided to make a short video about my process, and it was the first time I'd ever made a video too. Even after finishing my model, I knew it wasn't totally finished. I'd try and re-rig certain things, but my laptop that I was using at the time just couldn't handle the pressure. My most recent video had to be saved into quarters just to be able to export it without crashing. Oh, and it was only a minute long. But I built my PC and now I can begin the journey of re-rigging. Okay, it's been a little while since I've seen this. Let's see. Okay, it's loading in. Oh, oh dear. I started by taking a look at the parameters, seeing what I was working with. If we take off the hair, we can take a closer look. With the face, I started with resetting the keyforms to start from scratch. There was no saving this thing. But before I worked on the angles, I wanted to fix a few things like the length of my body and the face shape. But even after changing it, I didn't feel so good about it. As I tried to rig it, I struggled and wasn't happy with the result. It had been a while since I last rigged. I had totally forgotten the basics of rigging. So I gave up and scrapped the head entirely. I used Procreate to create some new skin, which is very weird to say out of context, but I traced over a picture of my model and recreated my face, my nose, my mouth. I kept the eyes, though I did try a few times to redo them, but I never really liked the result. So here's a comparison of the layers that I used. You can see I used a lot more and I just really like how they look. So here is before and here is after. Ta-da! It looks so much better. The XYs are still super rough, but we'll get back to that later. It'll do for now. When I drew my new face, I used a bigger canvas than what I originally used for my model, so I noticed everything else got blurrier. I fixed this by adjusting the atlas map. But I'm going to show you how I fixed it just in case you need to know. Here's your texture atlas, like a map of all your textures and model artwork. Then select texture, then add texture to make another canvas. Find and select what's appearing blurry. Simply click on the texture and then click on the new texture canvas that we just made. Click and drag on your art piece to resize it. You don't need to use shift as it will not deform. Just make sure that the art piece stays inside the canvas or it might get cut off. Now here comes the fun part. Let's see what we can do here. By using the hue saturation tool, we can see the raw value of the colors I picked originally, which, as you can see, they all kind of blend together. Here's the entire scope of value. It doesn't look too bad until you see the sheer scope of value that I'm missing. Typically for art, you utilize the full value scale to help showcase the mood, lighting, and depth. But with character design, value helps with accentuating and pointing to important features. Using the full value scale makes designs more readable too. Mine doesn't do that. My model has 4 colours, pink and teal, which is used a lot, and yellow and purple, which is underutilised. So in my mind I thought I could use purple or yellow to add more value. Typically though, purple has more value than yellow, which means purple is a darker colour, which is why artists tend to use purple for shadows. Here's a visual summary of the colours I used and the percentages of each. Although purple has the biggest percentage, it actually is white that I used. I just used purple to shade. This is why I thought I could incorporate more purple to add more value. So I started doodling with purple in mind. I just felt like I didn't want to use any more teal or pink. I came up with an outfit idea, but I wasn't too sure on it. But at least the values look a little better. Not by much, but it's a step in the right direction. Despite my doubts, I started working on rendering. It was the only idea that I had that kind of worked together, so I continued to go with it until I thought more about it. After changing things and moving things around, making more assets and trying to force it to work, I removed everything I didn't like, which was basically everything, and this is all that I was left with. I nearly fully rigged it too, I think because it was either working on this or procrastinating. I thought I was being productive, but either way I was avoiding reworking it. I had 0 ideas of what I wanted, and although it looks like this was my first design idea, it wasn't. I had quite a few before it, none of them becoming anything more than a sketch, and definitely not good enough to show here. Of course now I know what the problem was, but it wasn't obvious to me at the time. In the end I scrapped it too. So now I feel like I've gotten nowhere, and everything I've done so far I've pretty much scrapped. But anyway, let's take a break and do something else. Let's talk tail. I decided specifically what shark I wanted to be, and my favourite is the cat shark, which I started doodling immediately because I got distracted looking at all the cute cat shark pictures. I tried out different ideas that I liked, but I eventually came to a conclusion. Although I wasn't 100% sure how to render it, I wasn't sure what position the tail should be so that I could rig it properly, so I just sort of guessed. So here's the tail with all the layers dissected. I wasn't sure what I needed, so I separated everything. I had a lot of layers for this. When it came to my design, I was stuck. Traveling to work, I started doodling on my phone. I was stuck for weeks just trying to think of something that I wanted. I didn't know what I wanted, and I think that was the issue. The thing is I didn't want to completely redo my model or my whole outfit. I liked my outfit, but it needed something else. And then I thought of my old original design. I think I brought it up briefly before in my original video, but this was the original design that I had for my persona. Now, I love this design, and fun fact, the only reason why I actually changed this design was whenever I tried to draw my persona, the rainbow bangs were so difficult for me to render at the time, so I ended up changing the hair color and in turn changing the whole outfit, and then everything else changed after that. But what's funny now is my current model is actually a lot harder to draw because of the gradient that I have in my hair. So I didn't make it easier for myself, but I did learn how to actually render it, so it's fine now, I suppose. I had a lot to love about this design. I wanted a similar comfy feel, so I decided to keep in mind what made it feel comfy. I started testing colours more seriously now, letting go of the unnecessary purple, which was the issue before. I wasn't sure how to achieve a better range of value without the purple, but I realized, I could just use the same colors that I've been using the entire time. And as I did, I started getting a little bit excited because this was a lot closer to the goal that I didn't actually originally have in the first place, but now I kind of do because I can see it. So I was getting a little bit more excited because it was looking so much better than before. I started thinking of the patterns just like before, and I saw these really beautiful patterns for reference. I didn't really end up actually using them though, but they were a thought. Using the same colours but darker values looks so much better. I do feel really silly for not thinking about it first, but of course the whole thing is a journey. I shouldn't expect myself to know exactly what to do 100% of the time. I was feeling really confident now. I loved it and I was excited to start rendering. I decided that I wanted to incorporate more flowers, so I doodled a bunch of flowers to give me some ideas. I think I used the Moondrop flower from Room Factory, Silent Princess from Zelda, the Gracidia from Pokemon, but I ended up just making some generic flower. It looked nice enough for me, so I just kept it. So now that I finished rendering, I began to set it up on my model. I started removing all the older stuff, and it was actually really satisfying. I wasn't actually sure what to do with the flowers or where to put them, but I made a bunch in different colours and stuff like that so that I could just put them on my model and see how they look and move them as I wanted to. I was feeling a lot better about this, but I started to feel a feeling of not feeling sure and having doubt. I thought I was being too picky, so I decided to give it a chance, the same way I did with the other outfit, especially since it was a lot closer to my goal. But even at the time, I thought I was pretty much 100% on it, but I still had that nagging voice that I was avoiding. I wanted it to be it, so I stayed persistent and kept rigging. But if you have to convince yourself or try to prove to yourself that you like it, you don't. Sometimes it's not easy to recognize it from how badly you want something to work out. But if you have to work it out so much and really feel like you have to orchestrate everything perfectly for it to work, there's probably something better waiting for you. So I continued to rig most of it, hoping that if I see it move, it would quieten that feeling. But at the end of the day, if your gut is not happy with it, you really have to listen to it. It cannot be persuaded like your mind can. So I fully rigged it to the best of my ability. I tested it out on VTube Studio, thinking maybe the nightmare was over, but I knew it wasn't. Something wasn't sitting right, and as I was looking closer, I felt like it was missing something. The sleeves looked weird, the pattern seemed unimportant to my character, the leg warmers looked a little odd, and I realized what I could do to change it. So after months of trial and error, I decided to actually stop and take a real break. I let it go, kept it off of my mind, and tried to relax. And I know, it sounds crazy, all this is just a character design, but it took me so long to think of what I wanted because I had no direction, so every part of it felt difficult and felt like a struggle. I wanted a result so badly, I tried forcing it out, and in turn made me feel more stressed about such a small thing. A few months back, it started as a fun project, until it wasn't, until I felt like I was incapable of making something good, and it was all because I was forcing it to be good. But again, you can't force goodness. But after my break, I felt good. I had learned a lot on my journey to get here, and now I had a really great base of what I wanted, and it was now time to have fun with it. So I decided, for fun, to doodle over a picture of my model to see what I would change if I could, and not be so serious about it. And with that mindset, I began to figure out exactly what I wanted. Half of me felt like skipping everything beforehand, editing it all out. But I wouldn't have gotten here without trial and error, and struggle sometimes is the most important part of the journey. Because if I didn't struggle, I would have finished after my first attempt with something that was unfulfilling and not so good. Even if I was blindsided at the time into believing it was good, I didn't have a simple or perfect process. I'm not a simple or perfect artist, nobody is, but I am resilient. Although I do find it rather embarrassing to take so long for a design, I'd rather speak about it than pretend it didn't happen. But enough of all of that, let's break down what I've made so far. I reused and redid a lot of things. For example, my sleeves are completely new, but my leg warmers have just been adjusted. And this whole style gives me that comfy feeling that I was looking for. I wanted to include more darker pinks, so I used it for the leg warmers and the bows and the smaller accessories. And although I didn't record all of the hours and maybe weeks that I spent into rigging and fixing my original model, I made a new save pretty much every time I made a big change to the model, so here is our progress so far. I'm so proud of this design. As soon as I put the assets onto my model, I didn't feel like fully rigging it at all because I was already satisfied. I didn't feel the need to prove it to myself or make it move to convince myself of liking it. The voice I had before was gone, fully this time. Now finally, after months of rigging and figuring out and drawing and trial and error, it was time to finally export my model. Here are all of those saves again. So all I'm doing here is setting up my hotkeys and my sleeves. I had a little fun idea that I could move my sleeves with my hands with a camera. I originally rigged it, I was going to use it for my mouse or figure out something, maybe make it random, but I managed to rig it to my hands with a camera. I wasn't sure if the sleeve thing would actually work, but when I found that it did work, I went back to Live2D and I rigged the sleeves a little better so they wouldn't clip as much. I separated them because they were originally rigged together. And I fixed a few bugs that I noticed and some that I didn't notice as well. It's crazy that I chose something that seems so simple, yet it's exactly what I want. Not something complex or super intricately designed, even the values aren't that great, yet something about this makes me so happy. Of course, there's always something to improve on, and the design isn't perfect. But right now, I love it. And if I have better ideas, they'll come later. But right now, I'm happy and I feel complete. Ta-da! My sleeve actually works. I'm waving. This is kind of crazy. My left isn't so. My right isn't so fortunate, but my left does move. So that's good. So this is the finished result. I have a few toggles too. I gotta find them though. I think Nope. Nope. Oh, my glasses. I didn't properly rig them to my head. They were kind of an afterthought. There's my glasses again. My pigtails. And nope, that's my glasses again. Where is my... There it. What button is it? Nope. No, it's there. What button is it? What? I found it. So it takes my bangs off. I can go side to side. It's a bit buggy though. Down and up is a little buggy too. But my right hand just sort of wiggles around. It just kind of wiggles around, so that's the best we got for these. It's still quite buggy, but it doesn't really matter, to be honest. Where's my pigtails gone? Hold on. Hold on. Oh. Oh my god. Yes. That's my glasses. There we go. Okay. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about was why I didn't make a whole new model. I think I definitely should have. Now that I've been through the whole process, I definitely should have just started fresh, because when I was re-rigging this model, I had a lot of problems where I had rigged it poorly. I had to either fix what I had done before, or I had to completely start fresh, and it just prolonged the time to do it. I think I could have done this so much quicker if I had just done it from scratch. The reason why I didn't was because I thought I thought stupidly that, you know, I knew that the old model was bad, but I thought it was salvageable, and I thought that it was doable. I thought there's no way that it can be that bad, that it would take that long to re-rig it. Like, I didn't think it was going to be that bad. I just thought, you know, a few things here and there that I need to fix, and then I can design a whole new outfit. But it ended up being a lot more stressful in that I had a lot of issues with pretty much everything. Like, every little thing had something wrong with it, or something I needed to fix or change or just start from the beginning. So I definitely think I should have started just completely fresh. It probably actually would have been quicker, but it may have taken longer to completely draw a whole new model, because I know how indecisive I am, and I know that I may have taken a while to redraw everything. So I think in that respect, yes, it would have taken a while, but it would have saved a lot of stress if I just started new. It was the same for like my face XY axes. I tried so hard to fix it. In the end, I just completely scrapped it. I just started completely new with a new face and new skin, and it literally took me like probably about 20 minutes to rig it. But because I was struggling against like the old hierarchies and the warp deformers, I was kind of like battling it, trying to make it work. And I think I retried it so many times, just trying to make it work. But honestly, you just have to let it go. If it's not working out, let it go, because there's always going to be something better. And I just kept fighting it, and when I realized I cannot do this, I just have to start fresh, and I did, and it turned out so much better. I'm very proud that I did fight against it, but I won in the end, and I'm very, very happy. This next thing is about a certain Vocaloid. I think it's a little obvious, which is crazy to me, because when I first made my video, I obviously had no idea, and I started getting comments saying that I looked like Miku, and oh my goodness, it's so embarrassing thinking about it, because it's so obvious, and it's so, like, of course, if I have teal pigtails, of course I'm going to look like Miku. And yeah, it's funny, it really is, but also very embarrassing, because I didn't even notice, I didn't even think about it. And yeah, so with my pigtails, I am changing them. It's just, I don't know what to. I don't know what I want instead, because pigtails, I kind of picked that early on. That was my old persona, and to pick something else, I don't know what to pick. So I've sort of left it for now. I'm definitely changing it, don't worry. It's too similar to Miku for me that I don't feel like I can settle. So I will change, I just need to figure it out. I sort of left it on the back burner, and I want to change it. I definitely want to change it, but I think I'll do that later on, like after this video. Now that it's done, I can focus on those things. And another thing that I need to focus on is my tail. I haven't done it. I still haven't done it. I sort of left it on the back burner as well. But the good thing is with my pigtails is that I can remove them. I know that the flowers are still there for some reason, but I can remove it and just have this without my hair, so that's fine. It's just I need to think of something different. I've had a few ideas, I've doodled a few things, but I haven't completely rendered anything. I haven't decided, so that's one thing that two things that I've still got to do. The last thing that I want to mention is, as an artist, I think a lot of us have gone through art blindness. I don't know if it has a real term, but I call it art blindness. It's when you draw something and you think it looks great, you think the proportions look great, and then suddenly someone says, your arm looks really tiny, why does it look like that? And you realize, oh god, one arm looks smaller than the other, or one eye looks bigger than the other, and you don't notice it originally. That also is quite scary. For my old model, I had really tiny shoulders, and I think someone asked me, is that a stylistic choice? And I was like, no, that was not intentional. I didn't even notice it. I didn't even see it. And that does scare me, because when you make a character, especially when you're a little bit insecure about your abilities, you kind of second guess everything you do, and you're like, oh, does this look too small? And you end up fixing things that don't need fixing and neglecting the things that do need fixing. So I fix my shoulders now. As you can see, I don't know if they're correct. I can't tell. I'm not that good at anatomy to tell if they're actually good enough, but they'll do for me now. They feel good now, so I'll leave it for now. If you've made art years ago and you look at it and you're like, why did I do it like that? Like, that's so wrong. When you see it, it's very obvious, because you've improved and you know the difference and you know what it should look like. But at the time you didn't. At the time it looked good. So anyway, that is something that did scare me, and although I should embrace it and it's just as it is as an artist, that's just how it goes. But things like that with my shoulders and things I needed to fix that I didn't even notice needed fixing until someone kindly told me. So I appreciate all the feedback that I've been given about everything, like Miku and all that sort of stuff. It was very helpful, and so thank you for that. And I always welcome your criticism and your feedback, because without it I would still be looking like I did before.